Welcome to the Fun Astrology and Merriman Market Analyst Saturday Financial Podcast. I'm Thomas Miller. Thanks for joining us. This is the free weekly newsletter published every weekend on MMAcycles.com, typically by astrologer and financial analyst Ray Merriman. However, Ray is preparing for a big Sunday webinar that is also promoted on MMAcycles.com if you'd like to check that out. So this week's guest writer is Wyatt Fellows. He is the editor of the MMA Monthly Grain Report. He also writes the monthly Gold and Soybeans reports. And just a hint, as he talks about some of those in this column, he is very accurate in his history of performance. Let's dig into this week's newsletter. Before we look forward, let's look back. There is some good astrology in here too, by the way. But as outlined in last week's column, market volatility certainly did not let up this week. The markets that were particularly volatile were the stock and metals markets. Both stocks and gold rallied strongly on Monday and Tuesday before falling sharply on Wednesday, following a hotter-than-expected CPI number. However, by the end of the day, both were back to nearly unchanged. The difference is how they ended the week. Stocks continued to build on Wednesday's recovery and rallied into Friday's close. On the other hand, gold crashed and burned, falling over $74 from its early Friday morning high. Silver was even more dramatic, climbing over 4.5% on Friday to a new multi-month high, only to give it all back and settle lower on the day. Even copper put in a massive bearish outside daily reversal lower. Across the pond, the German DAX and London FTSE made new all-time highs again. They were still unconfirmed, though, by the Amsterdam AEX. In Asia, the Hang Seng and Shanghai SSE continued their bullish trends, with the Nikkei also having a positive week. The Nifty was the holdout, with a lower weekly close. In the cryptos, Bitcoin and Ethereum were range-bound, not providing much insight on direction. Crude oil dropped to a new weekly low of $70.22. This is now the fourth week of decline off the January 15th top into the time band for a possible low. The real winner of this volatile and chaotic week might be the wheat market. It posted an over 4% gain on Friday alone. It also closed back above the $6 level for the first time since October of last year. After being in a bear market for over 2 years, the grains might just be returning to vogue. And my added comment is that is not good news at the grocery store. Now let's take a look at the short-term geocosmics. The skies are relatively quiet this upcoming week after a volatile week involving Mercury and a full moon in T-square to Uranus. That is until next weekend, when the first leg of this retrograde chaos period comes to an end, with Mars turning back direct on February 23rd. But the marathon continues, with the baton quickly being passed to Venus, who starts her retrograde motion March 1st. One market I will be paying close attention to is gold during this time. Depending on whether or not last week was a primary cycle cresting gold, we could be making an important high or low during this time period. However, gold is not the only market that could have a reversal. Venus affects many markets, including financials, currencies, and soybeans. Any of these markets are candidates for a reversal within 10 days of March 1st. Now the long-term geocosmics. The Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, has become a hot topic in recent weeks. Elon Musk and his team have been unearthing frivolous, wasteful, and corrupt spending in various departments of the U.S. government. Some of the line items being reported are indeed quite shocking. However, it wasn't until Musk and his team invaded the U.S. Treasury that the gloves started to come off. Personally, I find what Musk and DOGE are doing to be refreshing and, quite frankly, necessary. Why shouldn't a government with the power to audit its citizens also not be held to the same standard? Having said that, I can appreciate the concerns and arguments being put forth over how it is being done and by whom. This theme of government accountability, waste, and corruption seems to take hold in certain Western economies, starting with Argentina's Milei and his chainsaw, and now the United States with DOGE. This is happening as Neptune moves even closer to leaving its ruling sign of Pisces and into a conjunction with Saturn at 0 degrees Aries in February of 2026. They will come within a degree of exactness this coming summer. The time surrounding this event has been referred to as the Aries Vortex by this column's regular author, Merriman. As an admitted armchair astrologer, this makes sense to me on a very basic level. Neptune can be deceptive, secretive, hidden, and filled with propaganda. Saturn is all about accountability and responsibility, a disciplined taskmaster and purveyor of justice. It seems that Neptune's veil of deceptive secrets is being lifted as it leaves Pisces, and Saturn's rubber-meets-the-road characteristics are taking over. However, as Jupiter enters the fray by forming a square with both Saturn and Neptune this summer, we have to be able to accept the potential consequences of this proverbial squaring up of the financial books. The government is the largest employer in the United States. Making it more, quote-unquote, efficient likely means a lot of public sector workers could find themselves out of a job. In fact, layoffs and employee buyouts are already transpiring in certain government departments. Also, unless these expenditures deemed quote-unquote wasteful or unnecessary by DOGE are redirected to meaningful uses in the economy, they could become a strong deflationary force to be reckoned with. How will the stock market respond to rising unemployment and potentially less liquidity in the financial system? Well, we may have our answer to this soon, as we are due for a sharp decline to a 3-year low in the stock market this year. This possibility is something Ray will be covering in this weekend's annual forecast webinar, links to which are in this week's newsletter. The coming Saturn-Neptune conjunction also has a strong correlation to droughts over major grain-producing regions of the world. This is something that the author Wyatt Fellows presented at last year's MMA investment retreat at Lake Bled, Slovenia. Needless to say, a severe supply-reducing event like a drought can have a very positive influence on grain prices. This script may be playing out now that the long-term lows for the grain markets look to have formed back in August of 2024. Anyway, enough talk of potential market declines and epic droughts. It's Valentine's weekend, after all, so if you're a subscriber to our weekly or monthly reports, take some of those trading profits that we've generated over the last month and do something nice for someone you care about. Maybe take them out to dinner, or surprise them with something they've been wanting. My wife has been eyeing a new set of cookware. That could be a win-win in my book. Either way, let them know how much you appreciate them. Oftentimes, that's worth more than anything that money can buy. Well said, Wyatt, and some good astrology analogies there that we've been focusing on around here too as well with the upcoming Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries. Not only are we seeing it show up in the world, but it's time to put our own focus on it as well. And to that end, I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's weekend with those you love. Tell somebody you love them today, and I'm going to tell you again, I love you, and thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the weekend. We'll see you back on Monday. Thanks for listening.